Falling Dev 7. I recently showed the game I was working on to my friends and received nothing but criticism about how it looked and played. Well, that sucks. Needless to say, I left feeling defeated and basically wanting to quit. Does criticism get any easier to take? By the way, this is a question from a viewer. So if you have a question that you'd like to talk about in a video and in the comments and start a discussion, you can do so in the comments down there. Well, the short answer is no, it doesn't. Criticism sucks. It's hard. But there's a big difference between criticism and critique. Criticism is there to judge and bring you down. And critique is there to help you. So I think it's important to distinguish between criticism and critique. Criticism, try to avoid, and if you do get criticism, it's really not worth much, in my opinion. Unless you're selling a game, then you have to listen to it a little bit more, but I'll talk about that in a second. The critique aspect of it, though, you really, if you can get used to it, should seek it out because it's going to make you better. And you don't want to experience your game that you're making within a vacuum, because the way that you experience your game is going to be vastly different to how, your significant other, your friends, your family, complete strangers, it's going to be totally different in how they react and emotionally respond to your game. So you want to know how those people react, and you want to be able to adjust, the way that you're making your game so you can affect as many people as possible. So, criticism, I don't give much credence to criticism because it's not very useful. Critique is very useful. In fact, playtesting is critique, and playtesting is extremely important, especially if you're trying to sell your game, to have people play it, test it, see what works, what doesn't work, because the way you experience it may just not be the way the majority of other people experience it. You're very extremely connected to your game. You know how everything works, and that's almost a disadvantage. And it's not almost a disadvantage. It definitely is a disadvantage when you're trying to make it the best way possible, because you don't have the same perspective as someone who hasn't gone through every single line of code and created every piece of art and everything else. I'm sort of reminded of a story from when I was in high school, and I went to an arts high school for the last couple of years, and it was divided into different disciplines. There was music, there was visual art, there was dance, there was acting. Needless to say, there was a lot of different people in this high school, and it was weird hearing from the visual arts friends that I had that they would have like critique sessions, and they would, if you created a piece of art, you would take that piece of art and you would stand in front of a group of your peers, the instructors, your teachers, your mentors, and they would just critique you over and over and over, and ask you questions about it and just give what they thought. And it was a very, at the time it seemed like torture to me, and a very hard thing to go through. But looking back, I understand why, for two reasons. One, getting used to critique is important. You kind of got to build a little bit of a shell to go up against it, but also, as a game developer or anyone who's creating anything remotely creative, there is a part of yourself that you put into what you're making. And, if you make this beautiful game and someone looks at it and plays it and says, meh, kind of sucks, don't like it, it's almost like they're saying, meh, kind of sucks, don't like it, to you. And that's hard to hear. So you have to learn how to disassociate yourself from the things that you're creating. And as with any other piece of art or process of creating art, game development is no different. You have to learn how to do that. My wife was a dancer for a long time growing up, and she's told me on more than one occasion that she really likes critique. And I've asked her why. Why do you like critique? And she says that it shows me that the person critiquing me cares, that they give a crap about me getting better. So if you're able to find people that can give you good critiques, people that can look at what you're making in a game and say, hey, this, and this could be improved, and they do it because they care, that's awesome. You want that. You want people to be able to talk to you about your game that way. Absolutely. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to make something and to put your time and heart and soul into a game that you're making, and it just doesn't come across the same way. That's tough. So heart goes out to you. Don't quit. Keep going. Screw them that they didn't like it. Unless they had a reason and they want you to get better, that's different. But if they're just being judgmental, screw them. Now, I will say, and I'll say this before I finish this question, it's not the same. Criticism is not the same if you're going to sell your game, because it's not just I'm going to show my friends and family and have them experience it, and that's the end of it. You're literally trying to convince people to pay you money to play your game. So in the case of selling your game commercially, then criticism is, you got to pay attention to it, because it's it's reviews, right? Someone can buy your game and leave a terrible review, and that's going to hurt your end line. It's going to hurt how much money you're going to make off your game. You're doing it for a living, right? So yeah, in terms of commercial critique, commercial criticism, playtest. For the most part, people aren't out there looking to just destroy you, right? I mean, the internet is kind of a sucky place sometimes, but for the most part, people are looking to play a game and enjoy it and have an experience with it, and to move on with their life and do something else. So playtesting is extremely important, and a great way to get critique. I think there are some places that offer services to do playtesting. You want your friends to playtest because they're easy to get, but they know you, so it's not going to be exactly the same. Other game developers are good to playtest, but they're also game developers, so it's not the same as someone who has no experience within that realm at all, just jumping into your game. So, find ways to reach out to kind of random people, run demos, run alphas, run betas, and have people test and play your game. So you get through that sort of statistical process of finding things that might not be so great, so you can then go back and fix them, right?